Our next presenter is Sean Crowley from Gas Networks Ireland. Sean is the large industrial and renewable gas sales manager with responsibility for industrial scale new connections coupled with biomethane plants seeking connection to the grid. Key focus on decarbonising the gas network and enabling biomethane at scale to support the delivery of Ireland's net zero targets. Sean has worked in the energy sector for over 15 years and has held many roles within gas networks, including industrial and commercial sales manager, where he sought to drive the inclusion of low carbon fuels into the industrial and commercial sectors while seeking to expand the gas network to new towns. While serving as a key account manager with Bord Gáis Energy, Sean was responsible for delivering customer-tailored energy solutions for large industrial and commercial customers. So we're delighted that Sean can share his perspectives here today, and again to acknowledge the sponsorship of Gas Networks Ireland for this conference. So over to you, Sean, for your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. Another great event organised by Bia, Sean and his wider team. So as Sean alluded to, for those whom are fortunate enough not to have met me maybe, my name is Sean Crowley. I'm the large industrial and commercial sales manager for Gas Networks Ireland, and taking Seal's lead. Maybe I'll apologise for my Cork accent, which is far harder on the ear than the Seals. Just to talk around what we do, Gas Networks Ireland, we own and operate 14,500 kilometres of pipeline throughout the island of Ireland, owned by us, and when I say us, that's everyone in Ireland. It is a secure and reliable and safe source of energy, serving over 700,000 customers throughout the island of Ireland, heating our homes, fueling our businesses, and on average, providing the source of 50% of electricity generation in Ireland. And in behind that statistic on an annual basis is hidden the fact that gas accounts for up to in excess of 90% of electricity generation in Ireland. So vital in providing for security of supply, so when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine, life as we know it continues seamlessly. It is one of the most modern networks in Europe, and it is completely future-proofed. It's future-proofed and is carrying biomethane today, and we're also continuing to assess its suitability in terms of carrying a blend of hydrogen and also getting to a full hydrogen space in some of our network, but more about that later. So while today we transport predominantly a traditional source of natural gas, we are ultimately getting to and aiming to get to a net zero place. Last year, we launched our Pathways to Decarbonisation, and that is a phased approach of introducing more and more renewables to get us to our vision of a net zero place by 2050. To concentrate on biomethane in particular, that looks like adding additional infrastructure, so whether they're direct connections for AD plants or central grid injection locations, for those plants that are too far off the existing network, to allow up to 5.7 terawatt hours of biomethane to enter our network by 2030, and growing ultimately to 14 terawatt hours in the coming years. And that 14 terawatt hours, which is circa 25% of our gas consumption currently, will continue and endure for more, ultimately getting to a place that it runs in parallel with hydrogen when we look forward to 2045. So that's our vision, that's our strategy. And what is the key benefit of it? The key benefit is we're decarbonising the fuel at source, so that the sectors, whether it's electricity, which is so critical in providing security of supply, when our intermittent sources of renewables are not available, can decarbonise and complete that circular economy, taking excess renewable wind when it's available, putting it into electrolyzers and creating hydrogen to be consumed in times when that isn't available in the future. Our industry, who operate in very critical plants around pharmaceutical manufacturing, won't have to do deep retrofits or change the sources and processes that they use. Agriculture, I think, has been well covered today, completing that bioeconomy, circular economy, and providing diversity in terms of source of revenues in rural locations. Likewise, intensive users won't have to deep retrofit or indeed transport. Currently, we've in excess of 150 HGVs operating in Ireland, and that's on the up and up as we continue to build out more infrastructure, private and public filling stations. So the technologies that will deliver this are biomethane, hydrogen and bio-CNG. And that's all then and fine, but what of today? We previously went out to market and to inform ourselves what the interest levels were in creating biomethane plants across the island of Ireland. And we had an overwhelming response to that. We had projects which in the aggregate, if all of them saw the light of day, would add up to delivering 14.8 terawatt hours of biomethane. That would be in excess of our ultimate plan and desire as part of our Pathways journey. And that's all in and fine, but what about today? Today, I'm delighted to report that we have a very healthy sales funnel in terms of the projects which are seeking to connect to the gas network, a source of biomethane. We have in excess of 66 active leads that are in speaking with us. And then when we work that down, we have 6 which are contracted currently, 3 of which will be delivered in Q1 of next year, 1 which was alluded to earlier on. And the contracts thus far that are there are equivalent to 10% of that government target of 5.7 terawatt hours by 2030, and more to come by the end of the year. That's not to say this is easy. It's far from it. Developments like this are fraught with challenges, and it's to acknowledge and take stock of that. The biomethane planning framework, look, as Niamh alluded to, progress has been made, but is badly needed to ensure that local authorities are ultimately approaching planning applications in a consistent manner and showing what good looks like. The economic route to market, the updates so far on the RHO are very welcome, but more clarity is needed over a longer duration of period of time. Corporate gas purchase agreements also need signals, and that signal can also come in the form of policy change around large industrial and energy users. Renewable gas and transport, again, is being built out with public and private stations and will be embraced further and further and provide alternative routes to market. The funding of these projects in itself is difficult. The structure of the RHO makes it challenging for commercial lenders, and there's also limited established funds looking at Ireland Inc. to fund these types of projects. Policy is far more evolved on the electricity side. The electricity sector recognises in its policy that you need to provide long-term supports, and that has helped that industry progress and create long-term gas purchase agreements. If we leave some of those items unaddressed and for too long, we risk losing developers, and the capital will go elsewhere. On resources, Ireland Inc. As a country wants to develop out significant infrastructure across different utilities and housing. So we have competing interests and priorities. In terms of what GNI are doing to support the market, we're working in the regulation space, we're working with the Commission for Regulation on our connections policy, ultimately trying to make it cheaper, more attractive, more commercially feasible for individual AD producers to connect to the gas network. We're trying to improve the economic test that we have and maximise the opportunity to get a full 70% discount on your connection. Financial security, which is used to underwrite the actual payment obligations of these connections, and we're trying to assess how we can improve and make that easier. We're looking at reverse compression. We're all aware of the constraints when it comes to wind. We want to mitigate that when it comes to AD. AD is completely different. It is a living, breathing thing. It cannot be switched off overnight or there and then. So we want to socialise the cost of reverse compression to avoid that, to take the gas from lower tier levels up to higher gas tier levels in the times of constraint when local demand isn't sufficient. Network connections, we're supporting customers to connect direct to our network, but also virtually through Mitchelstown CGI and more to come. The Green Gas Registry. is critical to seeing the monetisation of these green gas certs and will allow the transparency and traceability to follow that biomethane through from the producer all the way to the end user. We're identifying demand by meeting with all of our largest customers, creating awareness of the biomethane market and encouraging and making introductions to the relevant AD producers. We're delivering bio-CNG fuel stations, both private and publicly accessible, to ensure that HGV market grows over time. And on the delivery, I thought it was worthwhile taking stock of the progress that has been made on our Mitchelstown Central Grid injection facility, which is currently in delivery mode. So the Mitchelstown Central Grid injection facility will allow a route to market for those developers who are too far from the existing network. It will allow ultimately 700 gigawatt hours of biomethane to enter the gas network. That in itself represents around 15% of the government's climate action plan target of 5.7 terawatt hours. So in conclusion, Ireland has, and I think we all recognise, the unique opportunity to develop a biomethane market at scale. The challenges are real, but they're not insurmountable, and by us collaborating together, we can address them. Projects are ready to go, but we need firm signals to ensure that the GPA's gas purchase agreements are put in place to justify these investments. We are committed to support delivery. It is the cornerstone and the immediate now for us to start decarbonising our network. Government's interim goal of 1 terawatt hour by the end of 2025 will be delayed, but we can get there. Ireland has a significant potential, but needs more market certainty to be able to deliver. And to close, I might just ask anybody who is interested in developing an AD project, please engage with us at the earliest opportunity. Also, please collaborate with us. Please have your say on the impending consultations that are due. And work with us. And thank you.
Thanks very much, Sean, for your presentation. And it's also, we agree with all of your conclusions and plenty of work to be done to develop and move along the sector.